Thanks for joining the post-game show, Dustin. There's nothing really to talk about, so we're just going to close it out there.
Yep.
We'll see you on
15 shots on goal. Phil Hronik, worst game of the season. Talk to you next game.
Oh, the weird thing was I actually said good things about Phil Hronik to start that game, and then nothing really came after that.
You know what? He gets so protected by Hughes being the puck carrier of that duo. He doesn't take the extra second to think. And it really shows that his hockey sense is not nowhere near the same level as Hughes. That and the effort on that penalty kill on the go ahead goal was just atrocious. That's his guy. Like that's Gunther's his guy, and he just stared at him.
That was just painful to watch.
Yep, it just felt like one of those games. As soon as PD missed on the breakaway, I was like, we lost. Game over.
You get a straight up breakaway and you don't get a shot on net.
Yeah. Yep. It's just the way she goes. Yeah. Must win game and you get 15 shots on net. It's just not good enough.
Yeah. Right now, Calgary looks like they're going to win their game. They just scored to take the lead in their game against the Sharks. 4:50 left to go. So unless the Sharks come back, Utah is going to move up on the Canucks, but also Calgary is going to move up with the Canucks just like that. So you got two teams behind us chasing us that are going to make up distance on us this evening.
Yeah, this was a 4-point game. I would suspect a few of these guys don't make it back to Vancouver after this road trip.
Yeah, I mean, Kempner was talking about that when he was in earlier, Rev Trev, saying, man, there's a lot of AHL guys in this lineup right now.
Yep.
So if the scores hold up, Calgary wins. They're 1 point behind the Canucks with a game in hand. And Utah will be up to 59 points, I believe, which will put them only 4 points behind the Canucks with one game more played. So Utah's obviously less of a threat, but I mean, Calgary making up ground, only 1 point behind. And now that also puts Canucks in a situation where they don't have their own destiny because now they have to wait for Calgary to lose a game.
Yep. Yep. And it doesn't get any easier next game going up against the Kings.
No. I mean, I will give it to the Canucks. They have played LA very well this year. But I keep on saying Utah over and over again. LA is a team that plays very well defensively. And it could be another game where the Canucks only get 15 shots.
Yeah, I mean, one saving grace is a two-day break, so maybe we get Hughes back for that game against LA. God, that sure would be nice. Our penalty or our power play sure could use him. Yeah, we did get a power play goal tonight, but the rest of them looked rough.
Yeah, Teddy Bluger had a good night in the faceoff dot. He won 80% of his faceoff. Pedersen came in at 50%, but then outside of that, it kind of drops off. You got Suter at 40%, Hedl both at 42%. So,
yeah, and losing important ones. That one in the defensive zone, lose a draw, shot off the faceoff, and in the back of the net.
Why does it always have to be Canucks logic, man? Like seriously, it's Dylan Gunther who scores the game winner.
Yeah, and I just don't understand how we can generate 33 shots against Vegas and then only generate 15 against Utah. Believe me,
Dustin.
Vegas is the far more superior defensive team. I don't understand what the game plan is from coaching. They
had more shots in the third period against Vegas than they did the entire game tonight.
Yeah.
And most of the time you can say, it's the second game back to back. Both teams played last night. Both teams had less than 24 hours between their games.
And they just had 2 weeks off. Like, there's no excuses. There's no excuses for this game. And I'm sure Tocchet will come out and say, we had a plan and didn't stick to it. That'll be his post-game presser tonight. We just didn't stick to the game plan. It's too soft, not getting to the hard areas. Right? Like just the same crap we've heard all bloody season. And it's like, well, if these guys aren't doing it, isn't it your job to get them to do it? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills sometimes. Like everyone defends the hell out of him because he won the Jack Adams trophy, but it's like, we're just beating a dead horse and running against a brick wall right now. Like we're making no progress all season. We don't change anything to try and improve it. I am just dumbfounded after last night when it was like, that is a really good, tough loss, but a good game against the top team in the division. It really came down to one shot on net was the difference. And then this, it's just, they got to stop playing to their opponents and make their opponents play to them, which is what they did last season. I don't understand.
Capitals
I'm at a
OV
loss,
fan
dude.
says Flames play Capitals on February the 25th. We'll destroy them for you, Russell and Dustin.
Aw, thanks.
And Emperor King says, listen, Russell, I'll let you guys win against us, okay? Deal.
We'll let Ovi get, hopefully Ovi gets his, gets a couple goals there in that game.
Yeah. The more the merrier. I mean, like that. If you're looking for positives in this game, even though the one goal did come on the power play, they were 1 for 4 on the penalty kill. The penalty kill, for the most part, other than Hronek blowing his assignment against Gunther, the penalty kill actually looked very, very effective for the most part tonight.
Yeah, no, it did, and honestly, Shilov's looks like he's made some steps in the right direction. Tip pass 15 feet in front of you, that's a tough save to make, right? Like, he was a little out of position. Like, maybe if he was a little back in his net, he might have had more time to react to the tip.
Yeah.
But I saw a lot more good out of Shilov's tonight than I did at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
So I was quite happy to see that. Huge save right before that goal ended up in the back of the net, which made it even more unfortunate. And just not enough support from the rest of the team, and ugh, yikes.
It's just like that's pretty much, yeah. Shilovs did well. Pelika was okay, other than Hronek blowing it. That was pretty much all you can say that's good about the Canucks game tonight.
Yeah, and it's just like, who's the game breaker? Who's gonna step up and be the game breaker? We don't have one. And I know that Alvin's got to be out there looking for one, but it's gonna cost us.
Should we just rip off the Band-Aid and talk about the Abbey Canucks? Tucson Roadrunners, Abbey Canucks.
I mean, they got a point. At least they got a point.
Hashtag at least they got a point. It was an overtime. I didn't see it was an overtime.
Yeah. So they lost in overtime. Pretty even game, back and forth. Max Sasson getting his 7th of the season in the first period. Originally credited to Jonathan Lekkerimäki, but it was determined he didn't get a piece of it. So Sasson gets that one from Carlson and Wolanin. In the second period on the power play, however, Lekkerimäki did get his 18th of the season from Linus Karlsson again and Sammy Blais. Sammy Blais starting to rack up the points pretty regularly. You hear me mentioning his name quite often now. So it went into the third period. They were down 3-2 going into the third period. With about 3 minutes left, Linus Karlsson was able to find the back of the net off a nice pass or a shot from Max Sasson. Karlsson with a nice tip, getting it by the Tucson goalie. And then it went into overtime. About a minute into overtime, unfortunately, Abbey lost control in the offensive end and gave up a breakaway back our way, and the Roadrunners were able to score on that breakaway and take the win in overtime.
Hashtag at least we got a point.
Yes, at least we got a point. Abby struggling a bit on the blue line with DPD being up here with the big club, and now with Mancini being up here as well. They were playing basically they were their top line D-men, so they lost them when all the practicing started going in and everything. So they did have 34 shots on net, so they are pushing the play in the right direction. Just struggled a bit to keep it out of our own net. They look to regroup here and play, I think, on Wednesday as well.
Yeah, the next time they play will be it's actually Friday, February 28th against the Calgary Wranglers at 6:00 in Calgary. So they're continuing on this road trip. And then they'll play again in Calgary the next day. So they're playing the last day of February, the 28th, because February is weird and only has 28 days for some reason. And then March 1st, they play against Calgary again before coming home in the next week of March.
Yes, and they will be at home for 6 games after that.
Yeah, so it'll be similar. What was it, December? Or was it January? They spent like the whole month at home.
Yeah, so the first half of March they spend at home, and then the last 2 weeks of March they're on the road.
I have a very important question for you, Dustin. As a former referee, did you wear a cup while you were playing or reffing a game?
Oh, always. Always. The number one piece of equipment when you set foot on a hockey rink is a athletic protector. Occasionally I went without the shin pads, regretted that a couple times. When I was reffing, when I had the red stripes on, I didn't wear shin pads as often. When I was a linesman, I wore shin pads all the time because when you're dropping that puck, sticks are flying. But I liked being a little lighter when I was a ref because you got to go in minor hockey. There's only one out there, so you got to go end to end all game long. There's no line changes and there's no 4 official systems. So it was the lighter you could be, the the easier the task. So I usually ditched those. But yeah, that's a tough one. Good on him for shaking it off. He had to wash his nuts back down there with a drink of water and was able to stay in for the last 90 seconds. But every man on the planet felt that one.
Now, at first, there's like, oh, I think he's grabbing his lip. Does he take the puck high or something? Oh, no, he just thinks he's going to throw up now because he just got hit in the baby maker.
Yep. Right in the mummy daddy button.
Yeah. What do the Canucks need to do moving forward? Like, is it just like we're just sitting here and waiting for the Hughes train to come back into the station?
That, and we need Chef to bring in a bona fide top 6 player. Someone to go with Petey. I'd really like to see. It's going to be hard because you will have to package, even though if a team is kind of out of it. If you want like a big player, like we got rid of a JT Miller. We need to replace that type of player, and we have to do it through a trade. If we want to be a bona fide contender this year, if we're legitimately just trying to survive this season, then we need to sell a few of the guys that are kind of dead weight right now and just call it a year and put a couple of guys on long-term injury reserve, shut down Petey for the year, let some of the young guys come up and play. So that, like I said, it's going to be a really telling week here. It's going to be fast, furious. We're coming up on the trade deadline in 5 games. I'd love to see a Tage Thompson or an Alex Tuck even out of Buffalo. Someone out of off their top line. Either one of those guys. You bring in a Tage Thompson and he's a centerman. Maybe you move Petey back to the wing because he hasn't been the greatest in the face-off dot. And when the Lotto line was together, when Petey and Miller had the most success, Miller was playing the middle and Petey was playing the wing. So maybe it's time to move Petey back to the wing, especially if he has a bad knee. And if you bring in a guy like Thompson, that's a bona fide center who can play 1C, and he's right-hand shot, exactly the type of player that would work very well with a Pettersson and even a DeBrusk, right? So I don't know if that type of trade is possible. It'd probably cost a pick or a high prospect. But we'll see what happens. I don't think Alvin goes all the way to the trade deadline. He likes to get stuff done quick and early before other teams get a chance to make a deal. So I would expect this week to be pretty furious from the Canucks front office if we're genuinely going to take a run at the playoffs.
Yeah, Calgary officially winning their game against the Sharks now. So with 56 games played, they've got 62 points, and the Vancouver Canucks with 57 games played, 63 points. So we still technically have the playoff spot, but we do have a winning percentage that is 0.001% worse than Calgary. So if you go by points percentage, the Canucks are out I'd also like to point out right now the Canucks are a -14 overall for goals for, goals against, which is not the stat you want to see for a team that should have more offense than they're showing.
Definitely.
LA on Wednesday. And then we've got the next game against who is it after that?
I think Anaheim.
Anaheim, yeah. It's the LA trip.
And then Seattle, then Anaheim.
Yeah. So you got the Kings, which are going to be a tough task. Anaheim is a funny team because while they are not a very good in the standings, they have been rising a lot lately, and they do know how to score goals. So that's a dangerous one. And then Seattle, for some reason, the Canucks always seem to struggle against Seattle, and then Anaheim again, right? So the nice thing is, though, once they play Seattle, they do have a 3-day break. So after getting back from the break, they have, what does it end up being? It ends up being 5 games in 7 days, and then a 3-day break before they play Anaheim. So they at least, I would say, if we're not seeing Hughes before Seattle or Anaheim, then we're in some real trouble here.
Yeah. Considering he's on the trip, I would expect to see him in LA against the Kings. If he really was that close to being able to compete in the Four Nations, I don't see any reason why he wouldn't be able to play in LA. And that's, like you said, Anaheim can be dangerous. Any team in this league can be dangerous. It's parity. It's what Bettenden's been pushing for with the salary cap and everything like that. I mean, they got the young goalie in Dostal who can steal a game any night for them. They have 2 big, mean defensemen in Gudas and Truba who can punish all the forwards going into the forecheck. So they're nothing to shy away from. Like, yeah, the standings are one thing, but like we've said all season, like these playoff runs are super tight. It's just now getting super close to the trade deadline that in the West it's starting to separate, but even in the East is still any 9 of the teams are still in it.
Yeah, Anaheim's coming in hot right now too. They're 7-2-1 in their last 10 games, so nothing. And that's with the OTL coming in the last game. So right, so even before that, they were 7-2 in their last 9 games before that, which is a crazy winning percentage. So, anything you want to say to chat before I let you go for the night, brother?
Thank you as always for dropping by. Appreciate reading the comments as they roll by. Know sometimes we can't always get to them because we zip through our conversations, but I do read them and notice, and I appreciate the engagement. And I hope everyone enjoyed themselves, even though it was another loss. We'll regroup and see everyone Wednesday night against the Kings.
Awesome, buddy. Enjoy your couple days off. We'll chat, and then we'll see you on Wednesday.
Sounds good, man.
Nothing is perfect.